You're live on JoyNews today. In our first story, late Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings will be buried on the 27th of January 2021. Government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has announced the 24th to 26th of January as a new date for funeral rites to be conducted as the conference center. Let's share further details of that statement with you as we have it, and that's it on your screen. It says that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana presents its compliments to all diplomatic missions, international organizations and honorary consulates accredited to the Republic of Ghana, and with reference to the former's note verbal number PRCIR dated 16th December 2020, informing of the postponement of the funeral arrangements for the late Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, former President of the Republic of Ghana. And they say we have the honor to inform of the new dates for the funeral and burial rites of the late former President as follows. Laying states from 24th to 26th of January 2021 as the foyer of the Accra International Conference Center from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Mass on 26th January 2021 from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Holy Spirit Cathedral, Accra, and the burial service on the 27th of January 2021 from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. as the Independence Square, Accra. Now it says the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana avails itself of this opportunity to renew to all diplomatic missions, international organizations and honorary consulates accredited to the Republic of Ghana the assurances of its highest consideration. Of course, the former President Jerry John Rawlings passed last year in December in a very, very unfortunate incident after a short illness, according to family members. His death literally brought the nation to a standstill as we had tributes flowing in from all walks of life, from all persons in and outside of the country who share their fond memories of former President Jerry John Rawlings. Of course, the flight lieutenant is credited for being the longest serving president in the country's history. He is also credited to have staged the last coup d'etat in the country. In 1992, he ushered Ghana into its longest stretch of democratic rule, ushering in the Fourth Republic. And it's under the Fourth Republic that we have seen the most development in the country. Live on JoyNews today, we turn our attention to other issues, but of course our condolences to the family once again, and may his soul rest in perfect peace. To other issues now, and parliamentary candidates for Hohoe in the just ended 2020 elections on the ticket of the NDC, Professor Margaret Kweku, has filed a petition to challenge the results of the polls which saw her lose to the former Energy Minister, John Peter Amewu, in a historic performance. This brings to 4 the total number of parliamentary election results being challenged in as many court cases across the country. It is also the second time the Hohoe election results are being challenged after residents of Central Kofi Akpafo-Likpe and Lolobi tried to injunct Mr. Amewu from being sworn in on January 7. John Peter Amewu's victory makes it the first time the NPP has won a seat in the Volta region since 1992. The AM show spoke to lawyer Martin Pebu on this latest case.
Okay, so basically, since we're a country of law, if somebody says that Mr. X is not qualified to be an MP, what we naturally have to do is to look at what the law says. So what does the law say? So we have the Constitution, which spells out in Article 94 the qualifying criteria for a person to be a member of parliament. So if you take the Athens North one, it borders on dual citizenship, Article 94 too, right? Where it says that for a person to qualify as a member of parliament, to be elected as a member of parliament, a person should not owe allegiance to any other country, which in ordinary English means that he should not be a dual citizen. Yes. So, but you know the Athens North one, well, he started the process but didn't find and after the nomination, the process got completed. And so it's legal. We will see when the court decides. Then, this other one, we are told it has to do with issues. So we are told that there's an issue of fraud. Now, all I can do is to once again refer to the Constitution and say what the Constitution is about this question. If somebody is convicted of fraud, then in that case, for 10 years after the conviction, the person cannot stand as an MP.
Now, we'll hear once again from private legal practitioner Martin Pebu, because he says President Akufo-Addo has every right to appoint ministers in an acting capacity pending the approval of his nominees by Parliament. He says the 1997 Supreme Court's decision in the J.H. Mensah case actually allowed the presidents to make interim appointments on condition that the substantive ministers are eventually vetted and approved by the House. Now, President Akufo-Addo has directed that some ministers in his previous administration should continue in their portfolios in an acting capacity pending the appointment of substantive heads. But opposition leader in Parliament, Haruna Idrisu, is of the view that the 1997 decision of the Apex Court makes this move illegal. Listen to him speaking on last night's edition of On the Record on the Joy Prime channel.
I've seen some ministers still hold themselves about as if they are ministers. That is unlawful, that is illegal, that is unconstitutional. As we speak today, there is no minister in Ghana.
And therefore, has asked them to act.
No. There is not. No, he got it wrong. Okay. Go and read the Succinct ruling in J.H. Mensah versus Attorney General, 1997 Supreme Court ruling. Their mandate have lapsed until they are nominated, go through vetting, prior approval of Parliament. They cannot hold themselves out as ministers. The same J.H. Mensah of New Patriotic Party questioned it when Kwame Peperenko were asked to follow through. So, I mean, there's a Presidential Transition Act. The president must be law-abiding, rule of law. As far as we are concerned, there's nothing like acting minister. The Supreme Court ruling does not recognize an acting minister.
So what will the minority do about it?
And I say the Supreme Court ruling, J.H. Mensah versus Attorney General, I have a copy I'll read to you, does not recognize any person purporting to hold himself as minister and wanting to exercise the authority and mandate of a minister.
Ebu, however, holds a contrary view. Listen.
My reading of the J.H. Mensah Attorney General case is rather to the contrary. So let me state it clearly this way. In that case, the Supreme Court held that because Parliament will need some time to settle down, form committees, do the vetting and all that, the President has the right to appoint some people to act as ministers for a reasonable time. That is, the court says for a reasonable time, pending the proper vetting and appointment of those ministers. You see? So it means that as soon as the president is sworn in, they can appoint acting ministers. It's known to the Constitution for a reasonable time. So what some of the judges then stated was that as to what is reasonable, Parliament can come out with its own rules on that. So maybe they can put that in a standing order or something.
Now let's turn our attention to tertiary institutions now, where a number of students of KNUST and University of Ghana have been speaking to JoyNews about the reopening of schools, and they are upbeat about compliance to COVID-19 protocols amid accommodation challenges as they resume academic work. Let's hear JoyNews' Kweku Asante, who is at the University of Ghana. Now, Kweku, you have been speaking to the Dean of Students, Professor Godfred Alofa Bokpin. What has he been telling you about the concerns students are raising?
Well, Daniel, first of all, on the matter of COVID-19 and the adherence to it, Professor Bob King has been saying, and has been speaking to JoyNews, that the university regrets the incidences from yesterday, when a lot of students who reported to campus did not adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. Most of them were not, as they were, wearing masks and in undertaking their manual registration. Most of them had, if they were wearing a mask at all, they had put it on their chin and they were crammed up together. And so Professor Bob King is saying that they regret that that happened yesterday, but this time around, they've put in place enough measures to ensure that that does not happen. And of course, we've gone to most of the halls and are taking the manual registration today, and you would see a marked difference from what happened yesterday. So today you would see a lot of Veronica buckets around where students are supposed to wash their hands, sanitize their hands before they go in to register. And also you'll be asked to follow a certain queue with a good number of people within that queue and spaciously done so that you can have your registration. And so that has been done on campus today. We've been speaking to some students, although who said they are not at all, impressed by the things management has done in terms of ensuring that the COVID-19 protocols are adhered to. They are saying that, for instance, the decision by university management to put in a room four students or 3 in a room, as it is applicable, is not at all, adhering to the COVID-19 protocols, because if these students are going to be in a room and at the same time they're going to share resources like toilet, the bath, and all those things, then you're probably exposing these students to the risk of contracting coronavirus. And so some of them are not so impressed by the things that management has done, but management is assuring that from today, and as we've already witnessed and I've said it, they are going to do more to ensure that the adherence of the protocols are in place.
Now, Kweku, one important part of COVID-19 case management is contact tracing. For this to be possible, every student's records will have to be taken so that we can track the movement of every student if the unfortunate happens and they test positive. Are we seeing any efforts made by the university authorities to record the students' records when they go where, as and when the registration process is ongoing?
Right. So when you come to the University of Ghana, the process is in such a way that the university usually knows where you are going. But that largely depends on students and their ability to respect these rules. For instance, at the various halls of residence, before you get out, what is done is there's a booklet at what is called the Porter's Lodge, where you have to sign in or sign out and say that I'm going to the market, I'm going here, I'm going there. So it indicates that, and then you drop your keys and then you leave. But what has been a practice largely is that some students have not paid heed to this. But this time around, the university is saying that they're going to ensure that this is done. And so that even if there are visitors coming in to come and see these students, they are going to sign into a logbook and find out where have you been from and where are you coming, who are you coming to see. And so these records are going to be taken. Right. And like I told you earlier on, Daniel, the university is doing something. It's letting the students fill a COVID risk assessment form where you tell the university where you have been before you came to school officially. And so that the university can use that data as a source and say that, okay, then because of this or because of that, we are unable to allow you access into the university until the mandatory quarantine period elapses. But of course, the University of Ghana Medical Center is in place to be able to deal with all potential cases of coronavirus. The university is assuring us that when it comes to some of those things, they have everything under control.
Kweku, thank you very much for bringing us those updates. I'm sure if you're a parent, you may be more assured with what you're hearing. But let's move to another university, the University of Cape Coast, which has adopted the Indom School of Business and Technology as its satellite campus to reduce the pressure on accommodation. Currently, close to 1,000 students of the School of Business at UCC will be accommodated there and have their academic activities there as well. Director of Public Affairs at the university, Major Retired Kofi Babintum, indicates the university would have all its streams of students on campus, but would run a hybrid system where the university would be combining physical contact and virtual learning as well.
We brought in Zoom Lion through government's arrangement, and they've come in partnership with the university's own people. They have disinfected and fumigated the whole university. We have already placed our hand washing equipment at vantage points. So before you enter a hall of residence, you have to go through the procedure of hand washing and sanitizing. It is the same with the offices and also the same with the halls of residence. One thing we should note is that for UCC, this is not the first time we are doing this. When the COVID was at its peak and students were sent home, we opted to bring them back to come and write their final exams. And when they came back, they went through this regime. So for us, it is not new to us at all. To be honest with you, I don't have the figures of how many are in a room, but I think that whatever it is, we have factored in the issue of the COVID-19. And to make this even more simple for us, what we did as a university was that we arranged with the Indian School of Business and Technology, which is situated about 10-15 kilometers off the Takoradi Highway.
Now, still on COVID and schools, former Deputy Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, is assuring parents that their wards will be safe when they return to school this week. He says the staggered reopening, which took place last year, afforded authorities the opportunity to learn valuable lessons, which will ensure the mistakes made initially will not recur. He was speaking to me on Prime Morning today.
GS is doing a fantastic. Prof. Bukwamankwa is working under the leadership of the senior minister, and they are plotting all the things that needs to be done, all the supply that needs to be provided. Our COVID-19 education has trained bedfellows. We have to coexist, but we coexist with COVID-19 with care. So as I think what has been good for us is the fact that we had some trial openings. Second year went to school, final year went to school. So we now have a body of practice, various things that have been learned over that period of time, which would then be implemented now. So COVID-19, yes, serious learning loss, and now we have to make sure we can eliminate and catch up and compete with the rest of the world. So I think the president has done a fantastic job allowing schools to open with fewer students. Parents should not be worried. The first time, it was tough. The Accra situation. And then the second year, students went and everything went smoothly. So I think we have the track record. The president has the track record that he listened to advisors and he used the advisors' intuition and practice and research to influence what he does. And so far, he's done a fantastic job in terms of directing school opening. I think parents should not be worried. We should all be guided. And that's why I'm wearing the nose mask here. We should all be guided by the fact that COVID-19 is still here. And to coexist with it means we have to follow the protocols. So if parents are listening or watching, all that I'm saying is that follow the protocols, advise your children to do so.
Now, the sharply increasing number of new cases is prompting calls from the public for the deployment of security personnel to enforce COVID-19 protocols following the widespread disregard for the use of face masks and other protocols. The country's COVID-19 cases are rising sharply, with many of infected persons suffering severe symptoms, and a lack of adherence to the protocols is said to be a major factor in the spread. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, speaks to ordinary people about this situation and finds out what can be done to address the problem.
On the streets of Accra and other cities across the country, many are going about their normal activities without face covering. The few who have masks are either keeping them in their bags, pockets, or not wearing them properly. Some, like this woman, attribute this to the bad example showed by the country's political leaders on national TV. In March 2020, when President Akufo-Addo imposed a lockdown in Greater Accra, Kumasi and contiguous districts, compliance to COVID-19 protocols was high. Police officers would routinely stop and question those not in masks, whilst authorities deployed task forces to the central business districts to ensure compliance of the no mask, no entry policy. At this time, the country's case count was just 141 with 5 deaths. Today, there are more than 55,000 confirmed cases, 1,200 of them active, 44 severe and 338 deaths. But this is when Ghanaians are being reckless about the disease. Several weeks of electioneering campaigns, Christmas and New Year celebrations have contributed to the rising cases.
I would say 10 days ago that we started having slightly higher cases than discharges. So if you have more cases than discharges, then it tells you that you are going to have an increase in active cases. So I would say that over the past 1 week, there's an increase in number of cases.
Government is already procuring vaccines, but this will not be enough to vaccinate everyone and won't even arrive until at least March 2021. The Ghana Medical Association has confirmed the country's treatment facilities are stretched following an increase in symptomatic cases.
As a country, gradually, we are going to slip as far as COVID-19 is concerned. The situation is that, one, enforcement is not happening at any levels whatsoever. Over the Christmas period till now, I have had calls from over 20 different families who have had COVID one way or the other. And some of them, you talk to them, the system has not even reached out to them to see whether, one, they are doing well or what is happening to them in the first place. Okay. And these are people, per the structure we are running, are supposed to be known to the system. They are doctors or healthcare professionals who will be mapped to these patients to oversee their care, even where they are receiving care at home, i.e. outside the care centers or the hospitals.
Some Ghanaians we spoke to want security personnel deployed to enforce the protocols.
Well, security agents are around, so they should be around to make sure that others are wearing it. I was not wearing the mask and I went to pass in front of the Ghana police headquarters. Okay. But when I saw the policeman standing there, I wore it. Okay, so as he said, the security agencies, if for instance, let's say as we were coming inside, there's a policeman over there ensuring that people wear their nose mask. My brother was not wearing it, unfortunately. So like you'll be told to wear it even before he enters this place. So as he said, I think that's what is best to be done.
When it started, they actually said that the police should be the ones enforcing the wearing of nose masks. Now they don't also care. They don't wear it first of all, and they don't also even care.
With new variants spreading like wildfire, everyone would have to take personal responsibility before the security agencies are deployed to compel us. Fred Smith for JoyNews.
Away from COVID-19, 100 engineers in 10 years. That's the ambitious goal former Deputy Education Minister Dr. Yaw Osei Educhum has set for the BOSOMTWI'S constituency in the Ashanti region, where he's Member of Parliament. Dr. Educhum, an educationist of over 2 decades standing, is hoping this initiative would help industrialize the largely agrarian area. The first batch of 30, led by the MP himself, left the constituency Monday morning to the University of Mines and Technology in Takwa, with the education fully funded. My colleague Justice Bedu was on that bus with them and has sent this report.
Emmanuel Owusu left senior high school in 2019 with aggregate 10. 1 year after he had entered SHS, his father died. His middle-aged mother sold a plot of land, the only property she ever had in her name, so Emmanuel could finish school. Emmanuel had 5 other siblings.
In the senior high school, it wasn't sometimes I have to struggle. Sometimes my friend have to give me money and then do stuff. You have to start off and then learn. It wasn't easy. Yes, it wasn't easy.
It is very tough if you want your child to go to school and yet do not have money. it's a painful situation to be in.
Elsewhere, more than 2 hours drive away, in the village of Bedase, Jennifer Dankwa, she too, a 2019 SHS graduate, has been waiting to enter university.
I see myself as someone who will be great in the future. So, although I come from the village, but I don't think like a villager. I always think like someone who is higher. So when I told my dad I want to go to school, even this year, if it wasn't the MP, I would have stayed home because there was no money to take me to school, but I was still persistent.
Jennifer and Emmanuel are 2 of 30 people from the BOSOMTWI'S district going to university this year. They are on a special program by the Member of Parliament for the area, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum. The program seeks to produce 100 engineers over the next 10 years. They are supposed to return to the constituency and bring back their knowledge to work here.
Let's say I complete geological engineering, someone will complete electrical. So we combine our knowledge together to build the constituency first, because we want some people to learn from what we've done. So we will build it, and then when you come here, you will know that yes, this place is engineering constituency.
It's the break of dawn, Monday. Most universities are admitting freshmen this week, and today, the students on Dr. Educhum's scholarship are going to school too. The MP has come to have a last-minute pep talk with them before they get on the road together.
This is the journey to Takwa, and it is that journey that is going to bear fruits that will transform us. Engineers are solution providers, engineers are problem solvers, and if you have a critical mass of them, then you will see the transformation. And I think one critical thing is the engineering thinking is also critical in every sphere of enterprise. There are in some places where banks are hiring engineers, and it's a field that is very much needed in our nation. When they come back, not only are they going to impact their communities and impact their families, they're also going to impact the nation called Ghana.
Many of the young people on this bus today are traveling outside the Ashanti region, their home region, for the first time ever. It's over 6 hours from some of the villages where they are coming from to Takwa, where the University of Mines and Technology is located. But for them, it's a journey worth all their energies. A journey closing the door on one phase of their lives and opening another door on another phase that, with all things being equal, promises to be very exciting.
For this community, I'm going to be the first engineer. So it will help not only for myself, but for the community, because if they are doing anything that need the help of those of us who are going to study there, we can also contribute and help the community too. They can accomplish it with our help.
As these students make their way into UMAT, many look forward to acquiring skills that will change their lives, in the hope that their toils and the investment in their lives will be fruitful for themselves, their families, and BOSOMTWI'S, their home. Justice Beidou, JoyNews, Takwa, in the Western region.
JoyNews today with me, Daniel Daze. Coming up in business, Ghana ranked 12th amongst African countries that exports goods within the continent. Daryl Kwao has more details. Stay with us.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Kwao. We are expecting the Secretary General of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat to give an update at the top of the hour on the status of AfTA since trading began on the 1st of January. Meantime, Ghana has been ranked 12th among sub-Saharan African countries that export to countries which are signatories under the Continental Free Trade Agreement. This is a disclosure by the International Monetary Fund Trade Statistics. Charles Nexon looks at the rankings and the impact of free trade on the economy.
Rank 12 among African countries that export to countries that are signatories to the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Indeed, the nation accounts for 17% of total exports to the 54 member countries on the continent, and that comes as a good omen for the nation because businesses and traders can leverage to be able to compete favorably with their peers on the African continent. Clearly, among ECOWAS countries, Ghana is doing better and is placed second after Ivory Coast. But in terms of the intra-African trade on the continent, it is not doing so much well. But overall, Ghana's position is not bad because if we are able to export enough to African countries, then we'll be able to bring in a lot of foreign inflows. It will improve upon our trade surplus, our balance of payment as well, and therefore help the cedi to become stable. But the other good thing is that businesses can then be able to expand. And expansion is very key because that is when businesses can be able to bring in or recruit new employees or offer jobs to the people. So that is what we are looking at. If you look at this rankings, it tells you that Ghana could bring in more foreign inflows to stabilize its currency and help build its macroeconomic fundamentals. And secondly, it offers opportunities to businesses to expand their operations and therefore offer opportunities to many Ghanaians to have job to do. And also, traders will be able to benefit because then they will also be able to move around the continent to buy and sell.
Today, the Bank of Ghana starts with this program of forward sale of dollars to businesses and banks for this year. This is part of several measures that the regulator is taking to stabilize the cedi and manage the demand for dollars by enterprises. Already, the cedi has lost 0.25% in value to the dollar this year. Here's George Afe with more.
The foreign exchange forward auction is starting today, with the Bank of Ghana planning to sell some $50 million. However, giving everything out will depend on how much most businesses that will participate through their banks and dealers will be requesting. Firms will participate through the auction by bidding for a certain amount, which the Bank of Ghana will agree to sell to them, but at a certain date. The move is part of several measures that the Bank of Ghana is taking to deal with a situation where some businesses may not need dollars now, but want to rush for it because of fears that it might not be available when needed. The auction therefore seeks to help manage demand for dollars and ensure that it goes out to businesses that actually needs them. A careful look at the auction calendar shows that the Bank of Ghana has increased the amount of dollars it is willing to sell during this auction for each month during the first quarter of this year. This has gone up by some $10 million. From the calendar, the regulator has increased the amount of dollars it is willing to sell for the first 3 months of this year, where the cedi normally comes under some pressure as businesses demand more dollars to finance their imports as they try to restock for the rest of the year. However, some businesses have also argued that the central bank doesn't make available enough dollars during this auction, as some of them have argued that they barely get the total amount requested. In all, the central bank is planning to sell some $775 million by the end of this year through this auction, $60 million higher than what is sold for last year. Well, time will tell whether this approach, together with building enough dollar reserves to give some market assurance, may do the trick in terms of firmly stabilizing the Ghana cedi during the first quarter of this year.
We've got a full bulletin of business news at the top of the hour. Sports is up next. Stay tuned.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News. I'm Gary Al Smith, and this is the sport. Ghana Premier League begins our bulletin. Have you seen the Ghana Premier League table recently? Well, in the last 24 hours, Asante Kotoko versus Liberty book ended the match day 8, and communications director at Midday are asking that the position on the table has required the capture of Ahmed Toure, and he's insisting that the Ivorian striker will help improve the club's goal scoring form. Now, the former Kotoko attacker, who has signed a 2-year deal with the Moves and Yellows, has returned to the GPL after ending his stay at Guinean top-flight side AS Kalum last December. Mediama have won just 2 of 8 games played so far this season, and they've scored just 10 goals in the process. And that's why they've brought the seasoned 33-year-old GPL campaigner.
Mediama is, it's an enviable brand, as you do know, and a lot of players, quality players, want to associate themselves with the Mauve and Yellows. We do recognize that we have struggled in the final third on the field, and it was extremely important that we go for a proven goal scorer, somebody who has demonstrated the panache for scoring in the Ghanaian league, and we think and believe that he has the competence and the quality to help our team this season. We have struggled in the early part of the season, largely because we do not appear to have a very potent striker. We dominate, very difficult to dispossess us, but the one to bury the ball into the net has always been a major sticking point for us. We have absolute confidence in the current crop of players that we have, and getting Amature will only add up to the spice. We know the quality of Mature. We know what he's done in his previous 6-time chances with different clubs, especially with Kotoko and Bichim as well at some point. He's a clinical finisher. He's a goalmonger, and he's somebody that we believe, if he gets his rhythm right, he will cause a lot of problems, and it will be nightmarish and hellish for.
So Mediama are 8th on the table. Olympics also having a quietly decent season, and 7th they are. Right now, though, they have a small problem. We understand that their coach, Anna Walker, is very ill and in one of the hospitals in Accra, which has meant that Olympics have had to get a new coach. Let's take a look at our Twitter, where we broke the story just about 20 minutes ago. And it says that Yao Preku has agreed to be interim coach of Great Olympics, and he'll be in charge of the club, who have been doing well this Ghana Premier League season.
Nakable has reiterated the need to project the Ghanaian culture in all aspects of entertainment. In an interview with my colleague Ibrahim Bembako, Akable says the industry will see a massive growth when attention is drawn to including more of our culture values.
Of course, we've lost them, not only in our music but in our daily life. I mean, back in the days, we used to sit, and then our grandfathers or our great-grandparents will tell us stories, when us the stories, not just the stories, but we learn from the stories, and that is what has kept our heritage, that is what has kept our culture. So for we to lose this part of ourselves is a big deal. So for folklore to put up a show like this so that we can bring this kind of setup to the children, for the children to know that we are Ghanaians, and that is who we are, that is how we are, and that is how we live. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, the music.
Why did they stop the music?
I don't know, but I mean, that's how we end.
Welcome back, though, Becky.
Thank you so much,
we missed
Daniel.
you on our screen.
Oh, you do. I miss you too.
Yeah, well, you don't look for people, but anyway, that's another conversation. That is where we wrap up today's bulletin of Joy News today. My name is Daniel Daze. Okay, so a little birdie wants to know where you spent your holidays, Becky.
Well, I was at Kumasi celebrating the birthday of the Agric minister. Yes, and Mr. and Mrs. Appiah invited me. The president was there, actually.
Interesting. Yeah. And then Becky, in high places, should we expect an appointment?
No, please.
Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts?
I'm a journalist.
Or any Deputy Information Minister? Hey, Becky's all played in this Ghana. Okay.
Deputy Information Minister, really?
We'll see what happens.
Singing
Maybe
minister,
substantive
maybe.
minister.
Singing minister, maybe, or
we'll
dancing
see what
minister.
happens in the next few days. Becky, thanks for welcome back. Up next is the marketplace. But we'll be back tomorrow with another Joy News Today. Enjoy the day. Bye.